Hey y'all, it's Megan. Welcome back to the channel. Glad y'all are here today. Come spend some time with me today. If you've been around for a while, you know that I've got these two roosters that free range, run loose. They're getting close to a year old. So today they will reach their final destination. And I'm going to show you from start to finish, if you want to process your own backyard roosters, how exactly to do that, how I like to cook them. Also, the way I'm going to show you today, no plucking involved. That is the worst thing about doing chickens, is the plucking. But we're not going to pluck today. We're going to skin them. People may not agree with me on this, and that's fine. But we have become so accustomed to the grocery store chickens, the Cornish cross. That's what we raise, Cornish cross here for our meat birds. But this is good knowledge to know. If a time were to ever come that you couldn't get the Cornish cross, it's good to know how to cook these backyard roosters and how to process them in an easy, quick way. So this is not something that I do a ton, but I did have a chicken last year that set on eggs and hatched out these two roosters. These roosters are pretty much free chicken. This is the way our ancestors did it, y'all, and we've become so disconnected from all of that. And that's one thing we try to do here on the channel, is bring that stuff back, because after a couple of generations, that knowledge is lost. And this is something we kind of had to learn ourselves, and I'm excited to show y'all. All right, so the deed is done, the parts that I can't show on YouTube. So I've let them hang here a little bit and drip. And now all you're gonna need from here on out is a good sharp knife. So we're gonna skin these chickens, and we're gonna start up here around our leg. And you'll be surprised, if you've ever done Cornish cross, how much tougher the skin is of roosters like this. And it's because they're older. And what that also gives you is more flavor, a lot more flavor. Making some little cuts, just kind of like what you do with deer, if you've ever done deer. And now if you won't skin, like if you're making fried chicken or something, you can totally pluck them, but I'm not making fried chicken with these. It would be tough. The chicken would be tough. That's why backyard roosters like this make the best stew chickens, pretty much. If you're making chicken stew, chicken and dumplings, chicken pie, anything that you're not eating just a whole, you're not eating just a whole like roasted chicken, because that's one thing they're not going to make good of, is roasted chicken. They'd be too tough. Some people may like them like that, but I think they're a little too tough to do that way. And I don't skin many chickens, so this may take me a little bit. I ain't skinned none in probably a year or so. Because our Cornish cross, we have a plucker and we pluck all them, but it ain't no use in breaking out all that stuff for just two roosters. So now that I've got my line cut all the way around my legs, I'm just gonna go very gently straight down that leg. Now we're gonna come and bring those two cuts together. And of course, it's one of those things, the more you do it, the better you get. Watch out of the way, I'm gonna spray them.
Gosh. Look at all this stuff coming out. Holy cow. I had a whole bunch of feathers coming off.
Yep, just like a deer. We just pull his little coat off.
I mean, big coat off?
Yep.
And then his little body? Right? Right, Mom?
Yep. That big old rooster, that's all it was to him. I've got just some hand pruners here, and we're gonna come here to the wings, and we're just gonna go ahead and we're gonna cut those off. I'm gonna try to get down to this joint. So these little hand pruners work just fine for cutting through that bone. There's one wing. Oh, we will. We'll wash him a lot better.
He's a whole bunch older.
Yep.
Our young one was killed.
All right, there's that. We're gonna go ahead and cut the rest of that off too, and then we'll get his tail, and then he'll be ready to go in the house.
In the house? We're gonna put him in the...
Yeah, we're gonna gut him in the house in the sink. So there's that. I'm telling you, the wings ain't enough meat on them worth fighting with. So it's the way we do it here. Now, next thing is we got to get this tail off back here.
They probably do not like it being in that cage.
And the rest of that right there we'll take care of when we go to gut it. That'll come out with the bottom. Yep. And we'll gut them once we get them in the house, in the sink. So again, his skin don't feel quite as tough as that old red rooster.
Maybe he did not grow as much feathers.
Oh, he still got them, I'm telling you. But we're just gonna go all the way around that leg.
Right.
Yep.
Look at all the
Yeah, but his skin don't feel as thick, so maybe he won't be as hard as that one was.
Mom,
Huh?
look at all this fat. Holy cow.
I'm actually gonna go ahead and cut this one's wings before we even get started.
Wait, what?
Yeah, them wings are serious.
What?
I said, them wings are serious.
Yeah.
It's amazing the difference in the skin
Yeah.
of this one.
And how much bigger their legs are. I mean, how much littler their legs are.
Than what they actually look.
Yeah.
I know. So we're just gonna go straight down and we're gonna kind of go to the center once we come down that leg to go across.
It just feels so weird.
We're gonna do the same thing on the other side.
It does not feel like those meat chickens. Hey, Mom.
And we're gonna connect our cuts. So you can see there, I've come straight down the leg and it just kind of pulls itself apart.
Mom. How do chicks not stay warm fur, but animals do?
I don't know, chicks' fur is a little different, I guess, than animals. We're gonna be really gentle cutting this part because we don't want to go into the guts.
Yeah.
So now I'm gonna come flip him around here. I'm gonna go ahead and start coming down the back. See why I'm doing this outside, not in the house? These
Yes.
feathers.
Yes. Well, why are you going to do the guts in the house? Because they make a mess too.
Well, I'll take the bucket in there with me.
The ones that had their head in.
And we just want to try to get.
I'll do the white rooster and gut it. I'm going to gut the white rooster. Hey, Mom.
All right. So now I'm just trying to work that skin down that leg. And it's like once we get off these legs, it comes off much easier.
This rooster feels so weird. Feels weirder than meat chickens.
Well, it's pretty much a different food group than meat chickens.
It is?
I mean, it's still chicken, but this is a totally, you treat this totally different.
Yeah.
All right, now we're gonna work our way around the back end and get around that tail feather.
Smells like a dead meat chicken.
It's all coming back to me now, how I'm supposed to do this. I had to have a refresher course on the beginning one. There we go. All right, I'm gonna turn him around. Turn, buddy. Actually, I'm gonna go ahead and cut this tail off. There's his tail.
It looks so weird.
It does. And I'm gonna make me a cut right there, just through the skin. Well, I said just through the skin. I just went into the meat, but
Mama!
it's all right. It ain't gonna hurt nothing.
Look like I had a tail.
There you go. You got your one, didn't you? And that skin, you should be able to get your fingers up under it. Let me come over here.
Is it easier now since you got the wing tail first?
I ain't got down that far yet. Hoping so. Get all that loose. We should be almost to the point that I can just pull.
Right? Right, Mom?
Yeah. Should just be able to touch it with a knife like that. Yep.
Oh!
And there it goes.
Shoot it out the rooster. Shoot it out the rooster, Mom.
I should have tied him to a tree instead of this gate. But I didn't have a good tree to tie him to.
Over there. Over there. Over there. Over there. Over there. Over there.
And we're just gonna pull his little coat off here.
We'll cut it off.
That's what Daddy always said when we were skinning squirrels. He'd say, just take his little coat off.
You got to take your big coat off on this one. Right?
Yep.
Like red.
Yeah, it's like after you get past them legs.
Look how much fat this one has.
He got a lot of fat on him.
Yeah. I told you he was made on me.
Get down on my wing there like I did on the last one. There we go.
Right?
There come his coat. I did that and a whole lot faster.
Right, because you got to tell him this.
All right, watch out. I'm going to spray him off. Yeah, all that'll come off when we gut him here in a minute. I'll get the rest of that and I'll clean him up better. That's a good looking. Wonder what he was mixed with. I'd like to weigh him. I may weigh him and see how much he weighs. All right, I need you. All right, now we're going to get them in the house and get them gutted. You just do the messy part outside. And we'll get them washed off real good. All right, I'm gonna let you tote this one.
All right.
It is amazing how much tougher those are. All right, we'll go to take them to the house. I'm gonna cut this one down. There's a joint at their feet. If you can find it with your knife, their feet are pretty, not too hard to cut off.
Right there.
There we go. Boy, he's heavy.
I can feel the bone right here.
All right, let's run them in the house and go wash them real good and get these guts out. All right, so I've come in, I've rinsed them really, really well. Now we've got to get them gutted. Gutting them is very, very simple, especially compared to some animals that I'm used to. So, you've got a place where the breastbone comes down and it ends before it connects back down here. You're going to pinch that up and make you a slit. Just ever so gently as to not mess up anything. And we're just going to pull it so we're not touching it too much with our knife. I'm going to run my hand up inside. You will feel connective tissue. That's the best way I know how to explain it. You will feel connective tissue up in there. We're just going to loosen all that up gently. I cannot express that enough. Very gently. And honestly, this part right here is easier for most women because our hands are smaller. So it makes it it's a little easier for us. Now we're going to come up here to the top and we're going to find the crop here. That's what that is. It looks like a little balloon. And we're going to unattach that. Again, connective tissue holding all that on. My main goal here is to not break the GI tract if I can help it. That's where your contamination comes from with E. coli and stuff. If you do break it, don't freak out. Wash it really well. You'll be all right. But if you can do it this way and not break it, it's a lot better. So we want to make sure all that's loose. So we've got a windpipe and we've got a crop. And I'm going to go plumb up in here as far as I can reach to let that go. All right, we're going to turn it back around and we're going to start scooping out the insides. And again, just like the skin and the feathers, you'll be very surprised how much tougher this is with roosters versus meat birds. But I want you to watch here. There's my crop I let go. I've got a hold to my guts here. We're going to slowly try to pull that out. Just like that. There it is. Now, we're going to keep on scooping. Now you can save your livers, your gizzards. I do not like cleaning gizzards, and I don't eat chicken livers. So, but you can save them if you want to. Andy eats chicken livers, but I do not. Now, we're going to start cutting. We're not going to cut this GI tract. There is, you can feel before you start cutting, there's a place where there's no bone, like right in there. And you should be able just to cut right around there. And this is just take your time. There is my GI tract, not broken, into the bucket. Now we gotta clean out everything else. And I've gotta clean up and get the rest of some of these feathers off. Now, gutting is one of those things that practice makes perfect. So there's our heart, a piece of a lung. And your lungs, you're going to kind of scoop into the rib cage. If the rib cage feels smooth up in there, then the lungs are still there. So you want to kind of scoop the rib cage. There's my windpipe. All right, I'll wash that one off. Go ahead and cut some more of that bad looking part of that neck off. And there we go. That fellow right there is ready for the fridge. So we got one more to go. All right, guys, so today took us from start to finish with the roosters about an hour. So if this was something I did all the time and I got pretty efficient at it, especially the skinning part, you could probably do 2 in 30 minutes if you got really good at it. But I'm going to weigh it and see how much free chicken we got here. I've got them all cleaned up and ready for the fridge. So here's one. This was my big white rooster. This is the one I really want to see. It might not even fit in this bag. So let's see. 4.3 pounds, and that's dressed, no skin. I feel like that's pretty good. I knew he was heavy. I knew he was. Alright, and this is the red rooster that was apparently all feathers. But still pretty good, 3.7. So that would be around 8 pounds of free chicken. So what I like to do with fresh chicken, whether it be Cornish cross or roosters, is I like to let them rest for at least a day or two in the fridge before I cook them. So I'll be back with y'all in a couple of days. All right, y'all. Well, here we are 2 days later. I let my rooster sit for about 48 hours, maybe a hair longer. And I've decided I'm just going to freeze the bigger one. We're just going to cook the smaller one. Andy has requested chicken pie with this rooster, so that's what I'm going to show y'all how to do. But I'm going to show you what else we can make with this. But first, before we get started with the day, I want to thank today's sponsor, Backwoods Home magazine. This is a magazine that we've read for many, many years, and they reached out to me a while back. I was ecstatic. We get so many emails, y'all just wouldn't believe the emails that we get, wanting sponsored videos and things like that. And that's not something we typically do unless it's a product that we truly believe will benefit y'all, and that be something that we would be using already ourselves. And Backwoods Home was one of those things. Like I said, I've read them for many, many years. And what they're going to offer y'all, this is what blows me away, 50% off a subscription. And you can get either Backwoods Home magazine and or Self-Reliance magazine. So if you're not getting enough from Backwoods Home, which is jam-packed full of information, all things from homesteading to DIY to preserving food, gardening, butchering, I mean, the list just goes on. Self-Reliance comes right in behind it with other great information. It's a quarterly magazine, so you'll get 4 magazines of each a year if you decide to sign up for both of them. And like I said, jam-packed full, not a lot of ads. One thing I do want to tell you, if you do sign up for the subscription, it will take it around 4 to 8 weeks to get to you when you first sign up. And while you're waiting, you can go to your local Tractor Supply if you want to thumb through the most recent magazine. But one thing made me think of it today is in the winter, January, February, March version of this Backwoods Home, they talk about doing some winter canning. And in the winter canning, hang on, let me find it here. And in the winter canning, it actually has a section talking about canning chicken or any kind of meats in the wintertime, because of course winter is a good time to butcher animals, or in early spring when it's still cool outside. And it talks about making your broth and how to make your broth, how to pressure can it, why you should make your broth, and why it should be pressure canned. And it just really explains it in layman's terms. And if you're a big reader like I am, I really do think you're going to enjoy this. If you enjoy our channel and you like to read, even if you don't live this lifestyle, they're still really fun to read. So anyways, check the link in the description and the comments to get your 50% off of Backwoods Home. And when I tell y'all I've been reading this for a long time, look here. I knew there was one about parting out chickens and about butchering chickens. This is Self-Reliance from spring 2022. And it has a whole big section about butchering chickens and how to part them out, and good old-timey recipes to use with those chickens. And chicken pie is actually in there. But with each magazine, you're going to find things like that. So I know y'all are going to enjoy it. And I love to hear, I see people in the comments say, oh my gosh, I got my Backwoods Home magazine. You're right. It's great. You know, and everybody may not feel that way. And, you know, that's what makes the world go round. But we do enjoy it here. And be sure to get your 50% off if you want to get you a subscription. So let's go ahead and get started with our fella here. So I just put them in. They were too big for one Ziploc bag, so had it in 2 Ziploc bags. I'm gonna put it in my 12-quart stock pot here. One thing with these roosters, let them rest and cook them to death. So they won't be tough. Alright, we're going to put them in the pot, just like so. And I'm going to cover the chicken with water completely. And what we'll do, I'm hoping to have some really good chicken broth out of this too, that I can either freeze or can, just depending on how much I've got. Now I'm gonna throw in some fresh rosemary and thyme. Just I'm gonna throw the whole darn thing in there because we're gonna strain this after a while anyway. Go ahead and cut my heat on. We're gonna throw quite a bit of salt in there. Throw in some cloves of garlic. Throw in a couple of carrots that we got up the other day with those chickens constantly scratched up. It's kind of ironic, ain't it? I'm gonna sprinkle in some peppercorns. And now that right there will make us a real nice chicken broth. There's really no recipe to chicken broth. You could just boil the chicken with a little bit of salt and be done with it. But I do like to add a little bit of flavor in with it. So that's where the herbs and the garlic and peppercorns and all that come from. And also, once you start making your own chicken broth, y'all, it is so hard to go back to the store stuff. Like, I haven't bought chicken broth and I couldn't tell you when. Now we're just going to cover this and let it just simmer for 3 or 4 hours. I'll come through. You'll notice when you are making chicken broth, you'll have some foam kind of come to the top. You can scrape that off. That's what I usually do. I'll come check it every once in a while. So Backyard Roosters, they make the best. I make really good chicken broth, but they make good canned chicken since it's cooked under pressure. When you pressure can it, it's really good canned chicken. Or to cook in the crock pot. The only thing I really wouldn't suggest doing is trying to like use it as a roaster chicken. Some people may not have that same experience as I have, but it's pretty daggone tough if you try to just roast it like in an hour or so. So anything that involves cooking it slow or boiling it like I'm doing here, that's your best bet on using these roosters in the best way possible. Now this has been simmering for about 30 minutes or so. So I'm going to go ahead. This is the foam I was telling you about. And it happens, it's not just because this is a rooster. Anytime you make chicken broth, you're going to have this come to the top. You just simply scrape all that off. Or as much as you can. I mean, it ain't got to be all of it. It's already smelling really good.
I think those look good.
Yep. Smells good, don't it?
Smells good.
Alright, y'all. So my rooster boiled for about 3.5 hours. It's good and tender. And that's how I knew it was ready to get out. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to debone it and then put my bones back in my chicken broth and let it continue to simmer until I'm ready to do something with it. I do want to go ahead and get this deboned and we'll start making our chicken pie pretty soon. So one thing that probably everybody notices first off is how dark this chicken is. That's typical of backyard chickens. It's not going to look just like your store-bought chicken. But that's what's going to give you that flavor, that really dark meat. And you can see how tender that is. We're just going to get that all deboned and pulled apart. And you know, guys, this is the only chicken that our ancestors knew was chickens like this. Not what we have today. The chickens we have today is not the same chicken that they ate back then. And like I said in the beginning of the video, we raise Cornish cross because we are spoilt to the chicken of today. But I also think it's beneficial to know how to do this too, and how to cook one of these if you were to ever need to. And plus, I don't know about anywhere else, but in this area, you can't give a rooster away. Don't nobody want no rooster. So you might as well raise them up and put them to good use. And what better use than a delicious chicken pie? I mean, it's just like beef. Think about beef. If you process a little bit older cow versus a young one, the flavor is going to be a lot better. It won't be quite as tender, but you're really going to have a really, really nice flavor. And these roosters are no different. And I like pulling it apart like this with my hands because I'm feeling to make sure there's no little bones or anything like that hiding in there. So let me see if I can pull this whole chicken breast off and kind of show y'all. So actually for a rooster, that right there, that's a good sized chicken breast. There's just a nice chicken tender there. But look at the color difference. I mean, just look at that. You can see how easily that pulls off the bone, how tender that is. Alright, and then the rest of that is just some connective tissue there. Not really much meat left. I'm going to put the rest of that back into my broth. Now it's time to get our chicken pie made. So, like y'all saw me do just now, I've already shredded this up for the most part. I could chop it a little more if I wanted to, but it'll be fine. We'll be just fine. If I see any big pieces, just pull them apart a little more. Try to sprinkle that dark meat through it there. This is not chicken pot pie. This is just like I do it in a 9 to 13 pan. Actually, this pan is a little bit bigger, but besides the point. But like I said, not a chicken pot pie, and it's more of a biscuit dough on top, but it's really good this way. And this is the way we enjoy eating it. Somebody left a good comment on one of my other videos. I was talking about people get on to me for what I call stuff. Y'all would just be so surprised. But somebody said, what was it? As long as you call me for supper, I don't care what you name it. I thought that was pretty good. I'm still letting this just work. It's already a nice golden color. We'll get that in some jars here in a little while, and I'll show you what that's going to look like. Because we want to get the most use we can out of this here rooster. That chicken broth really going to give our chicken pie a great taste. I'm going to sprinkle about 1/4 cup of flour or so in here, just to kind of thicken up my mixture a little bit. Get all that mixed in. Let's get that combined. I'm going to put just a little bit of milk. And this will thicken up as it cooks. Our broth is pretty good and seasoned with plenty of herbs. So I'm not going to worry about adding any more of that, but do might want to make sure I got plenty of salt, pepper, now we're going to make our topping. You're going to need around a cup and a half of self-rising flour. We're going to throw some lard in there and do just like we're making biscuits. We're going to work that in just like you were making biscuits. Pour in enough milk with a little extra so it's a little bit on the thin side after we get it mixed here. gonna put me a few little pats of butter along the top of my pie here before I pour my bread mixture. You don't have to do that. Now we're gonna pour our bread mixture over the top. Even if they don't all touch each other, they will come back together when it cooks. I've got my oven on 350. It usually takes this around an hour. You know it's done when your bread on top looks brownish. You don't want it to get real dark brown, but I'll show you. I just got it out of the oven. Show y'all what that looks like. Still hot and bubbling, so we're gonna let it cool a little bit before we cut into it. Oh, it smells so good. Okay, that looks great. It's full of chicken. There we go. That's Megan's version of chicken pie. So we'll eat me a bite of supper, and then we'll get our broth in the jars and call it a day. Well guys, I hope you can see this here. Look at this beautiful, delicious chicken broth. I ended up getting 4 quarts and 5 pints. I like to do some quarts and some pints because of course depending on what I'm making is how much chicken broth I need. So I'm tickled over this. I'm going to get these in the pressure canner. I'm going to check my time on it. Actually, let me look in my magazine. So actually in the winter, Backwoods Home, like I said earlier, it actually gives us a whole section here on safely canning broth and meat and tells you why you have to do it that way. But what we've got to do for our broth is we're going to do 90 minutes under 10 pounds of pressure because that's for quarts. It's 75 minutes for pints, but I would rather go over because I'm going to put all these in the same pressure canner. And that's to safely preserve these for later use. I don't have to take up my freezer space with frozen broth. I don't have to wait on my broth to thaw out. Just pop open the jar and it's ready to go. So I got to get my pressure canner out. But guys, I would like to thank Backwoods Home one more time for sponsoring this video. Y'all be sure to check the link in the description or the comments for 50% off your subscription if it sounds like something you'd like to read. And I guess that's going to about wrap it up. I know today's video probably got pretty long, and I appreciate y'all sticking around with me for this long if you have. You know, it encourages us here that there are people still out there interested in this way of life. Me and Andy like to joke we were homesteaders before homesteading was cool. But I want you to learn. I wanted to do this video because doing your own roosters is a sustainable way to have meat on your farm or your homestead or whatever that is. And look what all I got from this chicken. I've got enough chicken pie left to eat one more night for supper. Maybe have to add a little something to it, but that's 2 meals that I got off of that one rooster, plus all this chicken broth off of one rooster. And y'all just, it amazes me every time of what all you can do if you really put the time and the effort into it, and what kind of delicious meals and nutritious right here with this chicken broth things you can make. So anyways guys, again, thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you might have learned a little something. Until we see y'all in the next one, y'all have a good one.